ArcheAge Chronicles, previously heralded as ArcheAge 2, has officially stepped into the limelight following its grand unveiling during the latest State of Play. However, rather than reveling in the announcement, fans have been left pondering a fundamental question: is it truly an MMO? This ambiguity is only exacerbated by the PlayStation blog's corresponding post, where executive producer Yongjin Ham repeatedly brands ArcheAge Chronicles as an online action RPG. If this nomenclature sounds familiar, you're not alone. A similar rebranding exercise occurred with Amazon's new world, Eternum, which is now predominantly marketed as an online ARPG rather than an MMO. Let's cut through the marketing fog. ArcheAge Chronicles is, without question, an MMO. A cursory glance at its Steam and Epic Games Store listings affirms this, with MMORPG explicitly referenced multiple times. The game's mechanics are described as an evolution of the genre, one that transcends traditional MMORPG boundaries. If it's evolving from an MMO, then by definition, it remains one. The game's Xbox Store page upholds this language, though it avoids directly labeling the title as an MMO. Instead, it leans on more ambiguous tags, even mentioning ray tracing as a selling point. The PlayStation Store listing, in contrast, offers scant information, making it harder to gauge the official stance. Yet, despite the language firmly supporting its MMORPG status across multiple platforms, XL Games is adamant about pushing the online action RPG terminology in its press materials, Steam welcome letter, and PlayStation blog. While some gamers are indifferent to such labels, others, especially genre purists, see this as a critical distinction. For years, the MMO genre has been a subject of existential lament, with fans fearing its decline. Therefore, the reluctance to embrace the MMO label raises concerns about the industry's trajectory. Unsurprisingly, the debate took root almost immediately after the game's announcement, surfacing on MMORPG and ArcheAge subreddits, as well as in discussions on dedicated gaming forums. The first query posed on our own coverage mirrored this very dilemma. What exactly is ArcheAge Chronicles? The online action RPG dilemma, we sought clarity from Kakao's PR team, inquiring why the game is persistently branded as an online action RPG rather than an MMO. Their response? A deflection back to the press release, along with a vague promise that more details about multiplayer components would be revealed in due course. It seems clear that Kakao and XL Games are determined to cement this new terminology. Some speculate that this pivot is an attempt to better align with the console market. Amazon's game director, Scott Lane, echoed a similar sentiment regarding New World, Eternum, explaining in a Q&A that ARPGs are a little more well-known on console, implying that the MMO label might alienate certain players. If true, XL Games and Kakao may be leveraging the same logic. Yet, this assertion is questionable. After all, large-scale MMOs have existed on consoles for years. Final Fantasy XI, Black Desert, and The Elder Scrolls Online, to name a few. The idea that console gamers would balk at the MMO classification requires a leap of logic. Though without access to internal market research, it's difficult to outright dismiss the rationale. From what we do know about ArcheAge Chronicles, the game's features scream MMO. Expansive raids, player housing, crafting, trading, and the formation of town-like communities all reinforce this identity. Additionally, boss fights involving up to 10 players further cement its place within the genre. Ham himself notes in the PlayStation blog that the game will boast large-scale raids, a feature seldom associated with pure action RPGs. When one envisions an online action RPG, games like Path of Exile or Diablo spring to mind, titles with fundamentally different design philosophies. A matter of semantics? Ultimately, this might boil down to semantics, much like the discourse surrounding New World, Eternum. Whether the game is labeled an online action RPG or an MMO doesn't alter its core experience, and for many players, that's what matters most. However, the fact that this question surfaced so swiftly and across multiple platforms, suggests that the distinction is meaningful to a considerable segment of the player base. When a major developer intentionally sidesteps the MMO classification, it naturally raises concerns. For a genre that many have already written off as waning, the reluctance to embrace its terminology could signal an unsettling shift in industry priorities. I personally don't believe MMOs are fading into irrelevance, but I understand why others fear so. It will be fascinating to see how the dialogue around ArcheAge Chronicles evolves as its 2025 launch approaches. Will the marketing language adapt depending on the platform, with PC players seeing the MMO label while console players receive the online action RPG designation? Time will tell. As always, we're eager to hear your perspective. Given that we've witnessed this nomenclature shift twice in a single year, do you find it a minor detail, or do you view it as an industry-wide trend worth scrutinizing? Share your thoughts in the comments below.